Good morning to everyone. Today we have a very interesting topic to talk about. We will talk about the life of an important mathematician of the past 100 years. We're talking about Constantin Carathéodory. He was a Greek mathematician that worked on a variety of areas of mathematics. He also worked on physics. So let's delve into it. About mathematics, he had some interesting results about analysis, real and complex. He also worked on Fourier series, measure theory. If you recall, if you remember, we studied in measure theory a theorem called Carathéodory's extension theorem. Well, he is that Carathéodory. On calculus of variations, he in fact made his PhD thesis about this topic. On geometry, he also has an important theorem about convex geometry. So in mathematics, he was well versed. In physics, he also had some remarkable works on thermodynamics. He worked on an axiomatization of thermodynamics, which had some important impact on the community of physicists. It was interesting because he didn't assume that that heat was on some primitive term, but something that was derived from other axioms and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. He also had some papers about the special relativity. I think that he had some conversation with Einstein. He also developed in some sort of optics and mechanics, although he wasn't. He didn't was exactly focusing on those topics. I think that most of his work on physics was on the first two, on thermodynamics and special relativity. Okay. So if you're interested, you can read some of his books. He has a few important books. The first one is about geometry. Its name is Conformal Representation. He also has an interesting book on algebraic theory of measure in an integration. These books. The second book is available to buy on Amazon, so you can check that. These are other books that I found interesting about the theory of complex variables. And the second one is perhaps the most abstract. It is called Calculus of Variations and Partial Differential Equation of the First Order. Well, not exactly abstract. I think perhaps measure theory is more abstract than that. But calculus of variations can be challenging as a first read. So you have that, and all right. So let's get into his life. He was the son of Stefanos Carathéodory and Despina Petrokoniko. So his father was some sort of important figure in the politics of the Ottoman Empire. So the uprising of Carathéodory was like some noble uprising. He was on that high level sphere of society. His father was for Western Thrace, so it's the area around here, and his mother was from Chios. Chios is interesting because it is a small island, but this island has some history because Homer, the poet, was born in Chios, as he in his autobiography he wrote about that. Wrote quotation marks wrote. So Thucydides talk about how Homer said himself that he was born in Chios. And also there's a theory that says that Christopher Columbus, the explorer, was also from Chios. But about the second one, it's kind of controversial because, well, I found a paper that says that Columbus was from Chios. You can check that. There's the link below. But when you start to research a little more, you find out that there are a lot of theories about where Christopher Columbus was born. So it's like everybody wants to take. Everybody wants to say that Columbus was born in his country. So there are a lot of theories about that. So yeah, perhaps that's not true. It's returning to Carathéodory. Well, as I told you, his father was an important political figure of his country. He was a lawyer and an ambassador of the Sublime Porte. The Sublime Porte is a name to say that he was involved in the central government of the Ottoman Empire. His mother regrettably died when Carathéodory was 6 years old, so he was raised by his father. Also, he had a sister. Well, from young age, it is said that he spoke those languages: Greek, Flemish, German, and Turkish, which it's kind of understandable because, you know, his father was an ambassador and he was in that high level sphere of politics. So yeah, he picked up the languages pretty fast. It is say that he spoke those 4 languages even before he was 15 years old. So that's remarkable. All right, so his first career choice was to be an engineer. So he traveled to. So from those years, from 1891 and 1895, he studied civil engineer. That was his first career choice. He was in fact quite successful as an engineer. He traveled to Lesbos. So, you know, he went out of his country to study civil engineer, but then he came back to work on Lesbos, on that island, to construct or to organize the construction of roads. So that was important. And then he also went to Egypt to work on as an engineer on a huge engineer project that was the construction of Elson Low Dam. That was in this year, 1898, and that is the geographical location of that dam, exactly there. But at that point, when he was working on this huge project, he realized that what he wanted to do with his life wasn't building roads and dams and so on. So he was a mathematician. At that period, he was always reading mathematical books, and so he decided to restart his education. So he started to attend a university once again, because, you know, in Brazil's here when he was studying here, he was in a military academy of engineers. But then he went to Germany, to the Friedrich Wilhelm University of Berlin, to study pure mathematics, and that was in those couple of years. But it happened, well, there he met some important figures of mathematics. At that time, you know that Germany was like the most relevant center of mathematics. He was studying with Schwarz, with Frobenius, and with the man of the right, he was Erhard Schmidt. At that time, Schmidt was thinking about leaving the Berlin University and going to Göttingen. So he convinced Carathéodory to go to Göttingen also. Well, Schmidt had some, I don't know how to say it, some problems or some critics about his policy, because during the Second World War he had to to obey the things that the government of Germany of that time was telling him to do, like removing that ethnic group from the university, and removing you know what I mean. So he was involved on those works. You can read this book if you are interested about it. There's an extract here that you can pause the video and read it. So yeah. Then in the University of Göttingen, he started to work as a PhD student, and he worked with none other with Minkowski. Minkowski was his PhD advisor. So he completed his PhD in 1904, and he was so exceptional at his work that the year after he started to work as a professor of mathematics. So his thesis was I couldn't find the file of his thesis online, but the title is there. So as I told you before, his work was his PhD thesis was on calculus of variation. So if you know German, you can read that. All right. So after that, he started to work as a teacher, also in Göttingen, but also in Hanover University and the University of Breslau. He also worked on the University of Berlin. He came back to that place and worked there. About the University of Breslau, if you are around that part of the world, you could perhaps consider visiting the vault of the university church, because it is quite amazing. It has quite amazing art. All right, so after that period in which Carathéodory was getting, building his career as a professional mathematician, he started to publish his work, and the community that acknowledged him. So also acknowledged. He also was recognized, by this important person. I'm talking about Eleftherios Venizelos. He was the most relevant political figure of Greece of the previous century. He was 7 times Prime Minister of Greece. So in 1911, he asked Constantin to work on a committee for the selection of professors of the University of Athens. After that period, he went back to teach in Europe, but then he was called again 9 years after to work on the organization of the Ionian University in Smyrna. And in those years, a war broke out. That was the Greco-Turkish War. So Carathéodory was in Ionian University at the time, and he tried to protect the university, the library, the laboratories from the Turk invasion in 1922. So he was also considered kind of a hero from his country. But after the war, he probably got depressed about the situation of Greece, and he wanted to change place. So he left once again Greece to go to Europe. In fact, specifically to go to Munich. But 10 years later, in 1930, He worked on the organization on the reorganization of Athens, and on the organization of the University of Thessalonica, because I believe that the university was getting created at the time, so he worked on that also. If you are more interested about the life of Carathéodory, you can read a couple of books about him. The first book on the left is a book on Greek. So if you know that language, you can read it. And the one on the right is probably the one that you can read. Is a biography about, he's more centered about his work on mathematics. The title says Mathematics and Politics in Turbulent Times, because he was involved in the First World War, the Second World War, the Turk-Greek War. So he was around all of those turbulent times, which is also interesting. I mean, as an historical fact. Alright, so lastly, this is a picture about Carathéodory. On the left, his father is on his left, on the right, on the middle, and at the other side, it's his sister, the sister of Carathéodory, and his brother-in-law. I didn't mention it, but Carathéodory was also married and had 2 kids, which he named after his father and his mother. His son was called Stephanos, and his daughter was called Despina. Also, it is said that when the Second World War broke out, he was given he was offered a position in USA to work, as a mathematician there. But at that time, he considered himself that he was too old to travel to another place. Besides that, he was depressed because his wife died before that. So he said that he will remain in Germany even when the war broke out. This is the history of the life of the most important Greek mathematician of perhaps of the last 500 years. I don't know. So it is interesting to talk about this, and it is also interesting to review his mathematical work, which you can do if you read the book on the right. This will be it for today. As always, if you have any questions, you can write in the comments. If you are interested about another mathematician that you would like me to give a quick a summary of his life, you can also write in the comments. So this will be for today, and see you around.